Welcome. Welcome to Wisdom with a Walking Wish List. It is Ashley. I'm here to deliver you another message on this beautiful day, okay? First, I'm going to pull a theme card. Let's see what we come up with. I've been seeing one card that wanted to come out, but I'm going to see what really... And it came out. I seen it when I need the last message. I seen it as I shuffled. And I tried to do it, and it came literally out. It came out the deck. And this is trauma tracing. Trauma tracing is so interesting because, okay, let me give you a little disclaimer. As I continue this channel, I will reveal a little bit about myself as these cards come out. This whole deck of cards are my interests, some keywords of knowledge, wisdom, awareness that I am called to speak about, okay? Although I am youthful, I've had a long career. I've had many careers, okay? One of my careers is I am a nurse. I am a psychiatric nurse. I am a psychiatric mental health, behavioral health nurse. I have been in this phenomenal field of nursing for 9 years. So I am an expert, okay? Along with my skills in education, I have been blessed by the Most High to be able to pair my spiritual gifts and awareness and wisdom and ancient knowledge with nursing in the modern age, okay? So trauma tracing is the topic. I'm gonna pull an energy so I can see, because trauma tracing it's actually something that I would say that I invented. Not invented, well, yeah, I would say that I coined the term trauma tracing. Okay. Eight of Swords came out. Okay. I get the energy. This is for people who need to be freed up. This is for people just in general. Trauma tracing is a metaphysical term. No, it's actually a physical term, but the way that I utilize trauma tracing, it gets down to the metaphysical parts and portions of our energetic body so we can understand what's really going on, what is manifesting on the outside, whether it's physical or behavioral or mental or spiritual, whatever it is, because there are always spiritual issues, right? These issues, the mental health issues, the behavioral health issues that people encounter and experience that cause crisis, depression, all of the things that are in a mental health sector in today's day and age. And the energy that came out is the Eight of Swords, which is imprisonment, which is blindness, and it goes hand in hand, of course, because trauma tracing will allow you to identify through your behaviors, your maladaptive behaviors, right? And what I do personally is I can see what occurred along the lines through your expression of the thing, and I can pinpoint actually what took place, what occurred through the interaction energetically that is causing the manifestation, which is the manifestation of the spiritual break, which is the energetic break, which is which part of the chakra system that is misaligned. So we go from the physical all the way down to the chakra system through a simple interaction, okay? And this is to free people up, because people need to understand that there is a way to identify right down to the energy, right down, right down to the essence of who you are, of what occurred during certain kinds of interactions that is manifesting such sickness and such illness that is keeping people imprisoned. For example, sexual trauma. What happens when a child is exposed to, we could just say, porn, okay? Corn. I don't know what YouTube will allow me to say. When a child is exposed too early to sex, the image of it, what it does is it takes that projection, the image, whatever it is that they're looking at, the motion picture, right? And it settles into their brain. Now, what happens is their psyche is not developed enough to even understand what they are looking at. So oftentimes, because if they're watching the corn with a P, it's a man and a woman, hopefully. If not, it may be two people of the same gender. Ugly times, it may be some human and another species, whatever it is. And because this is how they see those people or whatever interacting, their rationalization of this interaction, that's what they will equate to how they should interact. That's what they would equate to love. That's what they would equate to the natural interaction. Now, because it is too much for them, that person, that little person, to rationalize and to have a real understanding, because if you thinking about it, corn with a P is not rational. It's not wholesome. It's not holy, right? So the projections of it is doing what it's supposed to do, which is causing a different picture, mental picture, which is settling into the nervous system in a specific kind of way, which causes a schism. It causes specific kinds of chemicals to be released in the body. If this release happens too early, it would cause, like I said, a schism, a breakage, and the way that the nerves connect with what they're seeing and how they feel, it will cause it will manifest in behavioral issues. You can have a perfectly fine child. It could be bright. They could be whatever. But if they have a distortion of what they are seeing and they're thinking this is normal, they could even know it's not normal because they may be hiding it because of the other feelings that come up, which is shame and guilt and doubt. And that is their internal system triggering them as to this is not right. So along with the way that they are connecting what they are seeing, their internal clock, their internal spiritual clock is still giving them the alerts that they need, that this is not aligned with your spirit, which is the fear, the guilt, the shame, and the doubt. Here's the thing, though. Now, fear, guilt, and shame is natural, so it can alert you to change. But if you continue something that is not aligned with you, and you have a continuous flow of those things that come up, which is fear, guilt, and shame, it will keep you literally in a lower vibration. And that's what keep you in jail. that's what keep you locked up, because you are literally in a feedback loop system of doing things that you have connected to try to make sense and call it a normalcy, that have become normal for you to think about and engage in, right, in a specific kind of way, or want to see, because it ignites these specific kinds of hormones and chemicals in you. But then you have your spiritual alert system that's alerting you the fear, the guilt, and the shame, but that is a negative feedback loop system. And that will keep a spirit locked up. Okay? So, back to the... So, this will manifest. Back to trauma tracing. This will manifest oftentimes as promiscuity. Seeking relationships, but before you get to real intimacy, getting to know the things that you need to know about a person and yourself, real establishment, you doing the first thing that you know to do, which is engaging sexually, because that's what your hormones is showing you how to do. And then not understanding that those things are a reward wholly for when you understand the totality of mixing people, places, and things. Okay? This is a whole class, because when we come across people and we are attracted to them visually or energetically, right, you want to get to know them. A smart person in their maturity now, who have went through certain types of things with people and in relationships, we know that it's important to not just only get to know the outside, but get to know them on the inside, which you will do that through getting to know their lifestyle and their awareness and what they deem to be right, through their fruits of their world, right? And that takes time, that takes effort, that takes intentionality, it takes discernment to be able to see those things without being clouded, jaded. Okay? And you get to see reflections, you get to see things through people that you need to know about yourself, things that you need to know about yourself, and things that you need to heal and work on. So oftentimes in a lot of relationships, we often need to learn life through relationships. Now, sex happens in the mind first. So when we come across a being, the first thing that women do is, how will my life be with them? How would our children look? How would our marriage be, and all of that? That's the intertwining of the worlds already. So it's important to not mix the two, so you don't be confused falsely. Let's see realistically what is going on in their life, what's going on. Can we mix? And then if we have specific types of agreements and understandings, that's when we get the reward of the act. Okay? Because that's a fullness. So that's a process. So when we're going back to trauma tracing and we're using sex as a foundation of a trauma, through how people show up in the world, we can trace those things. We can trace it back to a specific time, situation, whatever. And I'm just using the visualization of corn with a P, because it's just a singular thing. It's just a person, a little person, a younger person, an immature person in the mind and in the body, with the unawareness of themselves. And we're talking about trauma tracing and the stuckness and being in prison because we don't understand the totality of how important it is to know the metaphysical parts of ourselves. That is the lost rights. Those are the lost rites of passage that our ancestors and the sages and people who had higher knowledge and the lower knowledge, right, that passed on, who were able to teach us about when the energy rises within us and what to do with that energy. So you hear people talking about the Kundalini rising and things of that nature. If the Kundalini rises too soon, or if it, meaning certain types of chemicals occur within the body, it creates schisms. It creates maladaptive connections in the brain and in the nervous system, which in turn has maladaptive behaviors. And then as you grow and you heal those wounded areas of your brain and in your body, right, through the non-participation, the cleaning of the brain, which is choosing to not have certain types of mental thoughts and engage in certain types of projections, or in choosing not to, harm yourself in those kind of ways, right? You give your time, yourself, your body, your energetic space, your energetic body, the space to heal itself so it can realign and reconnect appropriately. So you can have appropriate experiences and have more self-control. Okay? So if we could understand that specific chakras hold specific energy, and during specific times in your life, certain energy is increased. So, and I'm going to use the sacral energy because we're talking about sexual energy. If it's overstimulated, right? Overstimulated, and it's giving off specific kinds of energy, and it's sending out specific kinds of alerts, and you don't know what to do with that energy, you become over-sexual. You become burnt out. Now, if it's a natural occurrence and there's nothing tampered with, or not overexposed, no overexposure, and it's just a natural and it becomes a curiosity, you should still know what to do with that energy at that specific time before you engage in the behavior, right? So if I have a surgeon and he becomes, I need for him to know what he's doing. I need you to know what you're doing before you get into the surgical room. I need you to know what types of things are going to happen if that happens, or this or that happens, that kind of thing. Down to the energy. I also need for that person to know how to reroute that energy versus just one way, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. So there's more than one way to get off that energy productively. You don't have to have a sexual encounter and reproduce in that kind of way to harness the sacral energy and reproduce. That's when we will have way more productivity in society. Okay? So if you are having some maladaptive behaviors, dealing with specific kinds of trauma, and you need some help, your children, your adolescents, right? I have profound experience in this area, right? So I invite you to send me a message if you would like a personal session with me. And you can email me at thespiritualhealingcompany@gmail.com. Again, that's thespiritualhealingcompany@gmail.com. And this is kind of more of a serious message, and obviously it came out for a reason, so this is going to reach who it needs to reach. Okay, so again, I do have a background in mental, behavioral, and psychiatric nursing. I have been a nurse in this realm for 9 years. I have been in my spiritual practice all of my life. I've been healing myself down to my spirit, my mind, my body, and my soul all of my life. And so I'm definitely qualified to be able to give some guidance in that area, because the trauma that you experience that is manifesting in your reality can be traced, and it can be helped, and it can be healed. Okay? So this is to free someone up. I only talked about one thing on here, but for you to understand that it can be traced and it can be dealt with, this is gonna free somebody up, because someone is trying to figure out there what is going on with what's going on. You know, I'm a good person, I have these aspirations, these dreams, but this is what's manifesting into my life. This is what's manifesting into my reality. I know I've experienced this, I've went to therapy, this, I've done this, but what is going on? It's because you didn't get down to the root of the issue. You didn't get down to the energetic space of the issue. There can be an overactivity or an underactivity of that specific area in your chakra system. And there are things that God gave us. There are crystals. There are herbs. These are all earthly things that are made to pair with the knowledge and the wisdom that have been bestowed upon us to be able to offset that negative energy, so you could get an understanding and integrate it into your reality. Okay? So thank you again for joining my video. This was Wisdom with A Walking Wish List. I am Ashley. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.